Say hi to me on WhatsApp, please.
Okay.
Okay. Hello and thanks for staying with us. It's time for Political Platform again on Repa FM. My name is Amechi Anapwe. My colleagues are here with me. Ehizoje Momo is joined by Abulu Semwagu and Teve Tiev, and together we'll take you around the country. Abulu was just reminding me before we came on air that today is December 22, the last date in the first of the three instances where you're to go to INEC local government office to pick up your PVC. If you miss out today, then Abulu, that will be the next opportunity will be at the world level. That will be from January 6 to 15. Thereafter, the last opportunity will be get back to, indeed, your local government office of the INEC. But the National Assembly yesterday entertained a supplementary appropriation bill from President Muhammad Buhari, 819 billion, and it's all capital projects to be implemented within this financial year. And the president says the floods took away so much, and there's need for quick intervention, water resources, works, and housing to benefit and indeed implement this. And so it is to be borrowed by way of ways and means. Ways and means central bank print money and give us to spend. That's what's going to happen. It also, a day after the central bank indeed reviewed, after much pressure, the central bank governor gave us the indication that yes, he may tinker with it. Before, the rule says by January 9th, I guess, if you want to withdraw cash from the banks as an individual, I cannot withdraw 20,000 naira, more than 20,000 naira a day, and by the week, 100,000. But the CBN has backtracked now and perhaps listening to our cry of Nigerians and said, in a day you can withdraw 100,000. For a week, you can withdraw 500,000, not anymore for individuals, and 5 million for corporate organizations.
Mechi, good morning, dear colleagues. I thought you also mentioned the failed coup in Gambia. The coup did not hold in Gambia, and most of us are happy that it's not something we want to hear in African continent again. That coup here and there. Gambia, the capital is Banjul. Up till now, since Adama Barrow became president, let's not forget he was sworn in Senegal, Dakar. In Senegal, the capital of in Senegal, because of the issue with Yaya Jammeh, the president of the Gambia then, who didn't accept the result of the election in 2016. And since that 2016, his personal guards have been the military from Senegal, and even the international airport in the Gambia and the seaport are guarded by Nigerian and Ghanaian soldiers. So we thank God that the coup did not hold in Gambia, and thank the ECOWAS and African Union for intervening swiftly. Abechi, I want to comment on the borrowing by the president, and also the project monitoring app that was launched yesterday. They call it iMac, yes. I've said here, I've held my position here severally that even if it's the eve of exit of an chief executive, and he has an idea, he's free to bring it to the board. Even if it's May 28th, the president knows an idea that can transform the economy, he should bring it to the board. There's no fear. There's no saying that, I should not bring any idea now. So it's a good innovation. My only worry is
this the same way the former governor of Osun, Oyetola, did last-minute actions? Is it in that mode you're thinking?
I think that would be beneficial to the people and pro-people. This one now, they say you and I can monitor project. That is the iMac. You and I can see where capital spending is going, the loan now that we are collecting, where it is being spent, and how the road projects are going on, and how the Ministry of Works are doing their works. I think it's a good one. Nigerians should embrace it. And for me, I feel people should criticize it and bring out the what they call it, the gray areas in the app, in the policy, to see how government going forward can correct it. This is what we call for, how the citizens can monitor government spending. If we can monitor them and they listen to the feedback, because we know there are so many feedbacks that we have gotten, intelligence gathering in the area of security that have not been properly utilized. I hope that this app that they are presenting to us, when we make our contribution to maybe failed project or failed construction or over-bloated or overpriced contracts, they will listen to us and come back to the drawing line.
Good morning, Amechi. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, listener. I was trying to find out one other tool that was launched not too long ago by under this government. I think there was another tool that was launched still on project monitoring. I do not know to what extent that particular tool also works, because it's one thing for you to launch a tool and it's another thing for citizens to actually be able to make use of it. But I know that civil society had pushed for a tool like this to be launched in the past, and it was indeed launched, but I do not know to what extent that particular tool was effective. Let me speak on the issue of the CBN like cash withdrawal limits review. I don't know how many. I know most Nigerians have seen the memo because it circulated on social media a lot. But for those people who have not seen it, I have it in my hands. I just want to take us through some of the things that the CBN said. And one of the main reasons, like Amechi said earlier, was because of the feedback received from stakeholders that the CBN made the reviews. And for those who have heard it or are still considering if it's not true, the CBN says weekly that from all channels. So when they say all channels now, I think that also would mean that the POS issue has been taken care of, Amechi. You can now withdraw 500,000 weekly, 5 billion for corporate organizations. Then if you are going to withdraw more than that in compelling circumstances where cash withdrawals above that limit is required, it will attract 3% fee for individuals and 5% fee for corporate. But there's another caveat, because in that memo sent to the banks and other financial institutions, it says further to that line that you can actually take more, you will need to provide certain information. That the banks must get those information from you. There are about 4 of them. It includes valid means of ID, the BVN, tax identification number, and the approval from MD/CEO. So if you are taking anything above 500 or 5 million, you need to submit this information to the banks, and then
what it entails, even before now, is that it's not that you cannot withdraw above the prescribed limits, but there are conditions attached. The first is that you pay charges, 3-5% yes. As an individual. Then is subject to approval upon provision of certain documentation.
Yes. But the difference is that the December 6th memo, if I recollect correctly, while you can pay 3 and 5% if you are taking extra, then it was 100 and 500. In that memo, it said 5 million and 10 million will require the MD.
MD of what? MD of the bank.
Yes, you have to write. Compelling circumstances.
The guy for company or for individual?
That was. I think it was for whatever class. The last memo on December 6th memo.
Because if I want to withdraw my money, 500,000 and above, I don't have an MD, for example, that I need to apply. So is it
you apply through your bank? That's just what it means. So the banks will
the bank's MD.
Yes, the bank's MD. Yes, the bank's MD. No, not MD of you just go to your bank, write that you require this. They look at it. You provide this information. Once it's okay to the documentation, will have it. And then for checks above 100 cannot come to the counter. Initially it was 50, so now it's 100. And then the other one for 10 million. Well, the CBN has also come out to say that it recognizes the vital role of cash, in supporting the underserved and rural communities, and will ensure there's a line. It will ensure inclusive approach as it implements transition. So we don't know what this inclusive approach.
I can tell you
to provide bank integrity
will help out here.
Exactly. Good morning, Amechi. We are looking forward to that inclusive transition that the CBN will be. All of us, will be getting involved, because obviously, if more persons or everybody is expected to do the e-transactions, to go through the financial system, then means as many people as possible must have bank accounts. And if in an entire local government there is no branch of any bank, then that would be an issue. So we're looking forward to possibly next year something will be done in this regard for the unbanked communities across the country. I'm looking forward to the interaction between the House of Reps and the CBN Committee of Governors this morning, maybe shortly after the passage of the 2023 appropriation bill. They will engage the deputy governors of the central bank because the governor is indisposed, so they'll be there to provide
and said to be out of the country.
Yes, taking care of. So I'm looking forward to that. The questions that will be put forward, but like we all know, the issue of withdrawal limit was a major issue. I hope this has addressed it, and with this circular or later now, what we now know is that there's no daily limit anymore from what the paper says. This is weekly, so you can withdraw the 500,000 in one day. It's your business, but in a week as an individual, you cannot withdraw more than 500,000. So and CBN had given hint that they will do this based on reactions and feedback, and it's good that they acknowledge that. That's the beauty of democracy. We've always encouraged it. You are a regulator, and all of that, but you should also listen to the people and react appropriately. I hope they will not. This will satisfy most of the interests moving forward, and that the lawmakers in particular, when they are engaging the committee of the CBN governors, will also raise this issue of so much that is being charged on the transactions that we're having, and they've reduced the cash stuff now from 10% to 5% and 3%, as it were. But then, Amechi, for every transfer you make, except it's within the same bank, you are charged, I think 27 point something naira on it, and depending on the amount,
it could be more.
In some cases, 50 naira.
After all these transactions, after everything has been removed, Amechi, but before you go to bed, for my own bank now, you now see a deduction of either 50 naira or 100 naira, depending on the transactions you made in the day. So these are the issues that I think, if we are migrating to cashless, we should be able to address,
to encourage citizens to key in.
So
and not to make money for the banking sector.
For the banking sector, because
bank owners.
Clearly from this, if care is not taken, these banks, they will not even need to give any, because that's the thing. If they are making more money from all of this, we saw what they were doing with stamp duties and all of that, where nobody knows where the money is now. If they are making money from all of this, they won't give anybody a loan. That's the truth.
It's guaranteed profit.
Because this one is guaranteed.
But they will tell you they deployed infrastructure, ICT infrastructure that costs money to support the online transactions.
But it shouldn't be so minimal. Because if you are charging me for every transaction, and then at the end of the day, I mentioned you are deducting money separately from all the transactions that were made. I think there should.
For instance, they could say any transaction less than 20,000 should come without charge to protect the vulnerable, the poor, those that are unbanked that want to get into the banking system. 20 naira, 15 naira, 73 naira, that's some banks charge. Yeah. It means a lot to them.
Even if you are transferring 1 naira to another bank, they will charge you 27.
Yes, I found out, I ran into that situation in a hospital. They said you must pay with your ATM card. It's compulsory. Then when you use your ATM card on the POS, the person first made payment, but forgot the 25 naira added to it. The first payment was in thousands. Yeah. So the lady was compelled to do another ATM POS payment. And she was complaining that I'm paying 25, but my bank will collect over 50. Yeah. So that's an instance.
Exactly. I want to just open up the discussion, bring up some perspective. Why all Nigerians, including me, are complaining about these charges? The truth of the matter is there are certain things that can be done that does not attract charge TV. For example, if you send money using the same bank ATM, it's free.
I mentioned that.
Okay, that's free. Yes, you can do that for free. The 27 naira you're talking about, that money is shared among.
It's not than 27.
Yes,
I'm
depending
not
on the
saying
amount.
any bank.
Amechi, I've heard
what I wanted to mention is that 15 naira I'm talking about that the electronic money
sometimes
transfer,
53,
is
sometimes
under,
above.
that particular one of the 15 naira, that one is under the Finance Act thing. So it's that one is government. It's government.
You need to clarify.
The Finance Act is now before the National Assembly.
Okay.
And that is what the lawmakers
Let's
should
leave that for now.
You need to clarify from the banking committee. We have heard complaints that there are hidden charges that have been collected when it's December period. So I think they need to explain further what are these charges. Why do you charge people 15 naira for maintenance?
But one thing is clear. It was the former late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua that talked of the rule of law. That as the major problem of Nigeria, he felt that once he could arrest that, every other thing will fall into place. Two instances we want to raise here very quickly. The first is the confirmation by the Senate of the nominees, most of the nominees, into the NDDC board. Now, in doing that, the Senate was supposed to be guided by the NDDC Act. And in that act, passed by the same National Assembly, they stated clearly that whoever is to be appointed into this board must come from oil-producing area. Now, when President Muhammad Buhari made nominations, there were some persons that are not from oil-producing area. The indigenes, those from the host communities, raised issues and sent petitions to the National Assembly. Some senators, such as Sereke Dixon, stood up, so many of them, and said, this is the situation, this is the law. We must not be seen to be going against the law. Some others, such as Oduzokau, said, in the past we have done it, we have violated the law and it should continue. Then you ask, because it was violated in the past, you're violating it, and tomorrow those that will succeed you will violate it. Are we guided by reason, or are we guided by other factors? When a government violates the law it set for itself, is inviting chaos, impunity into the society. This same government will still want citizens to obey other laws, for instance, paying their tax. If I don't pay my tax and you arrest me, I'll tell you, because government has also violated our laws. We shouldn't sacrifice everything on the altar of a political expediency, because it favors our political interests. That's why we need statesmen in Nigeria who will think of the next generation and not the next election. And the National Assembly, in doing that, they have a huge moral overhang on their shoulders. It will haunt them, I can guarantee you that, and in future, questions will be raised. And the second one is the supplementary appropriation bill sent in by the president. It's going to be sourced by way and means. In other words, the CBN will borrow money, print money for the government to spend. Now, the CBN has variously, especially is notorious with this CBN led by Godwin Emefiele, violating the CBN Act that gave specifications and limitations on how CBN should borrow to government. You must not borrow them more than 5% of the last year's GDP. This CBN had continuously violated that. And this CBN will set cash limit and expect citizens to obey, when it also violates its own laws. Now, the president has sent in this almost 1 trillion, and the CBN may likely honor in further violation. And the CBN says, before you even borrow more, the one you borrowed before for last year, they must pay. They have not paid. So what type of country are we running? How did we get to this point where we put men who are supposed to be of the highest integrity in office, and these men are the ones violating our laws because of pecuniary, selfish, political interests? Big questions.
Indeed, questions for the oil-producing communities. It's unfortunate that it took a political line, a partisan line, with what PDP did and what APC will eventually do. But those communities that feel hot, that raise petitions, I think they have a right. They can approach the law courts.
The matter is already in
court, so that the court will make pronouncements. The court can direct that the appointment of such persons is illegal, and the person will have to vacate, that office moving forward. But Amechi, we need to understand, there were 2 letters or 2 communications from the president. One on the to borrow additional 819.5 billion for those of us that were affected by the flood disaster and all of that. And then there was another communication to restructure 23.7 trillion, the ways and means. And so we need to understand, it's not that the borrowing for the supplementary budget is from the ways and means. The ways and means is a separate communication that they want to restructure, the ways and means that have been given to the federal government by the central bank in the past.
They want to restructure
it. Because just like you said, it must be paid back before.
Yes. So it's the National Assembly that should restructure.
No, the National Assembly must give approval for the restructuring.
It's beyond the National Assembly. When Godwin Emefiele uses his powers under the monetary policy, he tells you, I don't take instructions from the National Assembly. The National Assembly cannot give the CBN instruction in his operation on monetary policy issue. And this is a pure monetary policy issue. It's clear the CBN Act. If you don't like it, go and amend the CBN Act first. That's the rational thing to do, reasonable thing to do. Amend the CBN Act, not looking for shortcuts to circumvent a problem you have created for yourself. So the National Assembly cannot, by way of motion or passage of the National Assembly, override provisions of the CBN Act. And the CBN understands very well. The President understands very well. More than we do.
The matter has been referred to the committee. They were given 24 hours. They're supposed to report today. So we'll also wait to see what the decision will eventually be.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, your mate, stay with us.
I know you want to make
they don't have power. When he does his own, you say I don't need your advice. Now they're trying to channel. How does they add up now? That's right.